thank Dr. Barzee, the commissioner, and for on the stuff we just talked about, their communication. I had the opportunity to hear from them on some of this stuff, and then point out some places where communication haven't been so great. So we sit here a week and a day after the State Board of Education had a meeting at which many people had an issue with the potential approval of the Relay program. I think everybody sitting here knows that. I was contacted by the chair of the Education Committee the night before, and that was shortly after I had become aware of what exactly was going on. Together, we informed the commissioner that we saw an issue with moving forward at that time, and she passed that on to the chair of the State Board of Education. That folded into the discussions that took place in this building. I will be honest with you, I still have problem with what I saw, and it's not because of some of the problems other people had. There's a lot of comments about charter schools and things like that. My problem is that to some degree, when you are asking for approval, you're asking for approval based on what you've already done. And then I look at the process where Relay, which is what we're talking about, came to the state for approval back in February. And I understand we have an iterative process, but since February, the 3 times it went through the process before it got approved, the initial rejection seemed to say to me that their reputation didn't hold much water. And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Relay gets approved with that being the case, having to go through the process 3 times, and the pushback. And I wasn't asking for it not to be approved. I was asking for us to wait so that we could answer questions. I had gotten contacted not only by people who had an interest who showed up here, but by actual constituents who heard about it. There was a story in the newspaper. And so I'm a little frustrated with what happened there. And I know that others are. And that wraps into what we do here with minority teacher recruitment. We want alternative paths to certification. I think that's something that we want. But we have to be particularly careful because the young people that we're talking about that aren't being serviced the way that they should be getting the highest quality teachers out of an alternative path. And in my particular opinion, I'm not speaking for the task force, in my particular opinion, that is not what I saw happen here. And I know others have a different opinion, but I think we could have waited, answered questions, and made sure that everybody involved felt as though we move forward in the most appropriate way. I will open it up for comments from other members of the task force. Or not. Dr. Barzee.
I'd be happy to just speak to the process that we did do and happy to hear the questions or concerns from the committee and take those back to the commissioner and the department. So we get new program proposals from institutions of higher ed, whether traditional or in this case an alternate route to certification, regularly, and there's not a committee, although this one seems to be appropriate in the Relay case. There's not a specific committee. What we do is typically the month previous to the full board meeting, we do usually bring it to a committee of the board, and in this case we did. We did bring it to the Legislation and Policy Development Committee in October for a preview. So I did bring it forward with Ellen Cohn, our deputy commissioner there. That's the opportunity to see if there's concerns, questions in preparation for the full board meeting. And then leading up to that, Senator Winfield, you said you had the opportunity to hear Laura Stefan and I called prior to that board meeting just to make sure that you were aware of some of the MTR things we're doing, and Relay being one of those. We didn't go deep in the conversation, but it was among a list of kind of the update I gave here, as well as at that time our excitement for doing something innovative and different. I quote one of our board members who says if we keep doing what we've always done, it's the definition of insanity, and charging us as a department to do something different that wasn't happening because we have not made movement. That's our reason for being here. So we did see the Relay opportunity and the letters from districts, largely our urban districts. We had letters from about 5 districts asking us to consider approval from this because they felt that this was an opportunity for them to fill shortage areas and increase the diversity of their workforce. So I'd be happy to hear from others, as well as, again, given that this committee is in existence, wasn't currently operating, but could we have done something better or different?
Are there others who care to comment? And let me just say, if there are, I'm happy to hear from you. Let me just say that I believe my district may have been one of those that saw Relay as a positive. Districts are free to do that, but I do think that when there's the opportunity for the public to interact and the interaction goes as it did, there might be a moment for us to say, we could take a moment and figure out, are there questions that aren't actually being answered in a satisfactory way? And as I watched, I have to be honest, I felt as though some of the questions being asked were not being answered. So again, this is not to talk about the character of any of the members of the board. This is to say that I think the process may have moved faster than it should have. And that's something that we should be aware of and sensitive to in the future. So other members, if you have a comment, I would. Representative McCrory.
Well, I'll be totally honest. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because I've been here for 12 years working on this subject, and not to even know that the department was doing something else in regard, and I think they mean well, but to be a legislator and represent an urban district where not just urban districts, but all districts are struggling for diversity in their classroom, and not even be aware of something else that's going on by the State Department or whoever, I feel embarrassed, uninformed, and very disappointed. I didn't even watch the hearing. I don't have to watch the hearing because what I was told or what others came to tell me about was very uncomfortable, apparently, and just not to know. It's insulting because then my constituents asked me, well, what about this program? What's going on with this program? And I couldn't answer them because I didn't know. I didn't know it was up and operating already. Nothing. I just felt just disrespected by the State Department and not by the organizations that's trying to do it because, they're just trying to get what they want done. And again, it might be all intentions are good, but, we struggle here and we get criticized for just doing the small things right through. And we hear this quality, we're lowering the quality and anything. And we give approval for a program that we don't even know much about. I don't think how many people here know anything about this? And all the work we've tried to do, myself as a black educator, I desperately want more teachers of color in our classrooms. And I might be supportive of it, but just to not know and come here and meet month after month and no one brief you on it, I just think it's a slap in the face. And I would like to know if my district, whether it's Craig or Hartford, is in support of this, because I haven't heard of them being that supportive of all the things that we're trying to do here in my opinion, the right way. But then they jump on board on something else that has no history in this particular state. And now it might work very well in other states. I'm not sure because I don't have the data. No one has given me anything to read. I have nowhere to go see it in operation. I don't know who's in charge of it. What's their background? What's their experience? What I got from the news media is, well, we're going to teach individuals how to teach children of color. You're going to teach individuals how to work with people of color or urban students? Who are you? And what history, what success have you had? And what success have the students had? Did you come to any other person and say, can you do it? Who you're partnering with? What's their background? How successful have they been? I don't know if those questions were asked or answered, but I would like to have a conversation with any organization because I'm really extremely disappointed. And the simple fact is, just didn't know. That's the most important part. And I think it's a slap in the face for all the hard work, the difficulty we have here to do things let's say the right way, going through committees, doing this research, and for years, we get sidetracked. Well, we can't do this, we can't do that. No, yes, to that, yeah. And then all of a sudden, somebody else come in and this is how we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to fix your problem. And again, I might be supportive of it. I might be a champion of it. I've always been a champion of diversity. But not to know is very disappointing. But more so disappointing for the people who come to me all the time with their concerns about their problems being certified in the state of Connecticut. I don't even know what to tell them. I know people right now who maybe become part of the program. If I know anything about it, I'll tell you, hey, you need to go see about Relay. But I don't even know to tell them that. I don't even know where it's working. So, I'm off my soapbox. This is my concern.
Stephen Hernandez.
This task force, and certainly the legislative leaders on this task force and the predecessor interests to this task force, such as the Achievement Gap Task Force, have worked really hard to strike that delicate balance between increasing our teacher cadre of color while maintaining quality. And it's a very delicate balance because we know that teachers of color of quality exist in our state and outside of our state who want to teach our kids. And I think what I'm hearing and what I'm reflecting as well is that when we operate in the dark about what each other is doing, we undermine each other's work toward the same goal. And that's why transparency, but intentionality in communication is so important.
Dr. Arias.
I just want to say it is amazing how some things can happen very quickly and some things take several years. So I agree about Relay. It came to a surprise to me as well. But after finding out, I believe my district, Waterbury, was in support of that. But on a local level, not even just this task force, but on a local level in Waterbury, there were questions that weren't even able to be answered by the HR director in Waterbury about Relay, although they wanted to support the program. So I think it's the task force, but it's also the people in the districts, parents, students, community members that weren't aware. RACE, and I'm a co-founder of RACE, we did find out at a Board of Education meeting about this and said, instead of waiting to the next meeting here, let's see if we can meet these people and find something out about them. So we do have a meeting with them on Tuesday morning. But again, I feel like that should have been discussed here, and we're taking our responsibility as a community group to find out about this. So that's one thing. I do wish that there was better communication around that. I think the other thing that this does is it really takes the responsibility off of really the core members of the education system. What about our four-year colleges, and what is going to be their role? What's their responsibility in supporting minority teacher recruitment or candidates into their program? I would have liked to see quicker, more timely change probably in that area than considering Relay, which I understand it's innovative, but at the same time it takes the pressure, I think, off of schools that are already in the system to have to change their policy and procedures. So I'm concerned about that as well.
Like Senator Winfield said, there are many questions that are out there, and I just wanted to ask one question, which would be, given the budget crunch and deficits that we have in Connecticut, what are the implications for implementation and support for candidates going through this program? Being an educator myself and being in the school systems, we have teacher prep programs like Teach for America and the alternate week certification.